Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Women's Soccer Show. Find Her Football crossover World Cup group preview. We still haven't found a short name for it, but we are here. I'm here with, of course, Crystal from Find Her Football and Tim, who you all know well from the NWSL crew. Whoop, whoop. Hello to you both.
Hello, it's great to be here as always.
Tim's giddy already because we are here to talk Group B. Group B, Australia, Ireland, Nigeria, and Canada. Should we just jump right in?
Let's go ahead and kick it off with Ireland.
Tim's gonna go first. Tim's most excited to talk about Ireland.
Y'all, in a true American, just like cannot wait. I am so excited for this team. We saw just a small glimpse of what they can do on the biggest stage when they came to the States to play the US. This is such an exciting team with such an invigorated and relentless spirit. I'm so enamored with everything.
Good words.
Thank you so much.
Good
thank
words.
you. It was a long work day, and so we're just trying our best over here. But I really love what this team brings to the table. They have that, we'll talk about the players, but that Katie McCabe, Denise O'Sullivan attitude, the never say die, the fight till the end, the give it everything you got kind of style. And I just love that. I think that's something that not every team really has. It's hard to find. It's even harder to teach players how to have that. So I can't wait, Sarah. What do you think?
Oh my God. I mean, I feel like you said it best where it's like, well, we haven't even talked about all of the stars that are on this team because I think people are going to be surprised when we list them all out, just how many. The thing about this team is exactly what you just said, is that they are the Arsenal of the international stage, frankly.
Stop.
Don't wave me off.
Stop.
Katie McCabe as captain, and the team will just never go down. If they go down, they will go down swinging. Well,
is this the first World Cup, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So this is huge.
This is massive. I feel like when we're talking, let's just get on to the players. I feel like this is Ireland's prime time in a similar way that we're going to talk about Australia being their prime time. They've got a crop of players that are just all in their prime right now, coming together at the same time for this first World Cup. Like you just said, Crystal, there's a reason this is their first World Cup that they've made it to. This squad, this roster is outstanding. And if Ireland's going to do some damage in any World Cup, this is the one it's going to be.
I think this is a great group for it too. This is a group where there's a lot of unsettled hierarchies, and these teams all have their FIFA ranking, but we'll get to the teams later, but these teams are all beatable, and I think Ireland knows that.
Yeah.
They've beaten teams just like all these other teams, or they've drawn them a lot of really close score lines before. They know that they can do this. They have it in them, and I'm so excited to see what they can do. You mentioned players, Sarah, and there are some really well established ones, but there are also some really great kind of under the radar, up and coming talents, or some veterans that are kind of suddenly back in the mix. I want to shout out a player for Gotham, stealing your thunder, Sarah, in Sinead Farrelly, who is possibly back.
Oh, I love that was the first name that we're highlighting.
Yeah, suddenly she's back in the mix, back onto the club scene. She gets a call in from Vera Pauw, and she does well, frankly, in a very sudden return after a very long absence. A great contributor for Ireland. Is she going to start every game? Time will tell. Maybe not. But definitely a player who can make a huge impact for this team and kind of gives them a bit of a veteran presence that can kind of help the Denise O'Sullivans, the Katie McCabes bring along this young crop of players.
Talk about adding heart. Oh, go ahead, Crystal.
Yeah, even against USA, I think that was a confidence booster. And they're playing against maybe Canada being their hardest team in the group. I think anything's possible. They could finish top of the table.
Ooh. Oh my God, that's bold. Top of the table?
I know, that is.
Listen,
actually.
I think we're all almost most excited about this group because I agree. This is this is a group where anything goes. We could come out with wins or ties across the board. We could come out with wild score lines, and it's top to bottom. Anything happens. Just staying on players for a second. We're talking about Ireland as this team that has heart. Like, and Sinead Farrelly is just like adding heart to more heart. It's just an unending line. Katie McCabe, Louise Quinn, who I know, Tim, you're absolutely in love with. Birmingham City player, playing in the championship right now. We already mentioned Denise O'Sullivan. And then I feel like we've got to call out some underrated players. Diane Caldwell plays for Reading. Rashid, I'm not even gonna try for her first name. Littlejohn, who plays for Villa, having a great season. I feel like there's a stat here that just kind of like encompasses Ireland. 13 of their last 16 games were either 1-goal wins or losses. And if they weren't 1-goal wins or losses, they were ties. So if that doesn't tell you that this is a team that can stay in it and make anything happen, I don't know what does.
Yeah, and it kind of shows that they thrive in the environment. They thrive under their pressure. They want to be in the biggest moments. They want the spotlight on them. They want to show the world what they can do, and that's so exciting. You mentioned, Sarah, a player in Louise Quinn, who I think is one of the most criminally underrated defenders in Europe right now. She's so solid. She has it all. She has the leadership. She has the athleticism. She has the defensive mindset, the positioning. She's an aerialist on defensive and offensive set pieces. Has some goals in her locker. This is.
How do you feel about people saying about her defending, though, that she's playing in the second division? So, of course, she's going to look good as compared to now she's on the world stage. Do you think she can do the same thing?
I don't think it matters, because last season when Birmingham City was in the WSL, she was still one of my favorite defenders in the league that last season. I thought she was sensational. I was shocked when she went down with Birmingham and a different club like an Arsenal or a Man City didn't snatch her up because...
Or a Tottenham.
Oh my goodness.
Have you always been a fan of Ireland? Well,
I mean...
Great question.
What's the history there? Because I feel like you know a lot about Ireland.
Not really. It just... this last year and a half, you kind of see them, like the pot kind of stirring, it's kind of bubbling, some of these teams, especially in UEFA, they don't really get a lot of shining moments just because there's so many really good teams, and you see these kind of up and coming teams boiling to the surface, and I'm so excited for them to finally kind of get their Italy moment where they kind of splash and show everyone who they are. So
to get a chance to shine. Yeah, see who they are.
You know what I think? Sorry, I'm just musing on Ireland here. You know what I think makes this team so great is that I think any other team coming into their first World Cup ranked 22nd, which, by the way, is pretty solid for a team whose first World Cup it is. I know, FIFA rankings or whatever, but they do say something. This team believes that they can win every game, and they play like they want to win every game. There is not a moment I have seen them come out and play like they're playing for a tie. Even the 2 games they played in a row against the USA, they were coming out for blood and they were coming out for that win. And had a few things gone differently, they would have either ended up with a tie and possibly a win. They just couldn't really net a goal. And I guess speaking of, there's a lot of low score lines here for Ireland. Is that going to be a problem, or is with their defense and with the group that they end up being placed in, which could make it more interesting, are we really just primed to see a lot of ties, like you were saying, Crystal?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that brings us to their first match against Australia. Do you think they have a chance to win on home soil? I mean, I think that's a lot of pressure to perform as well.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Playing the home squad?
Yeah, I mean, this match is going to be electric, right? We've heard all the news about how they first had this Australia versus Ireland match at a smaller stadium. The tickets sold out really fast. Then FIFA moved it to a different stadium that was bigger. I believe it's moved to Stadium Australia in Sydney now, but I could be wrong on this, to get the bigger space to allow for more ticket sales. And now those have nearly sold out as well. I have not heard yet that it's officially a sellout crowd. I'm sure it will be by the time the tournament rolls around. But the environment is just going to be so exciting. I think it's really anybody's game. I would have to give it, if I'm trying to do a pick for this match, I would pick Australia just because the buzz on home soil, the home crowd,
Yeah.
squad against squad. I do think they are, yeah, they're a stronger squad. Their starters aren't going to be as depleted just because it's the first game. They don't have as many miles in the legs yet. So I would have to go Australia in that first match. I do have one more player I want to talk about for Ireland too.
I knew
I'm
you
so
would.
sorry, you guys.
This is why Crystal moved us along. Do it.
So there's one more player for Ireland I want to bring up as well, and that's Heather Payne. This is kind of like a winger slash forward midfielder player. She plays currently in the collegiate system for Florida State, which we know stateside that this is a major powerhouse program. Yeah, so this is a player who I thought was sensational against the US. Obviously, she did not get any goals. However, I think this is a player that really was a bright spark on the counter, and you see how Ireland is playing with a really steady, strong back line and really hoping to break on the counter really quickly. I think this is one of those players that can link with Katie McCabe and can really be a possible difference maker for Ireland. I think this is a player that if they're going to topple the Giants in their group, this is a player that really needs to have a breakout tournament for them to do that.
I think that brings us to how are they going to play against Australia? Our players are going to have a disadvantage even traveling.
Yeah, I love that you bring up travel. Sorry, Tim, I know you're about to say, we were just about to talk at the same time. I feel like travel, it seems like such a trivial thing to talk about, but this is actually possibly the biggest thing we can talk about for the Australian national team. This is a team that travels halfway around the world to play one match. They are so used to traveling. They are so used to being spread out far apart and frankly putting 18 hours of travel on their body every single time there's a major tournament. And now the whole rest of the world who doesn't have to do that ever has to come to them, put that travel on their bodies when they're not used to traveling. And Australia gets to sit back and be on their home soil. And I don't think we talk enough about how much travel really has wear and tear on players, on athletes. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's starting to come into the conversation in the NWSL this year because of how many miles these teams have already traveled, and we're not even halfway through the season. But this is a big deal. If you talk, we interviewed here on the Women's Soccer Show, we interviewed Alicia Ferguson, Australian national team legend, absolute legend. And that's one of the first things she talked about is, people don't understand what our bodies go through just to play one game for our national team. And to have it on home soil, to not have to do that, to have our families there, it makes a difference. And I think that if, Australia will come on to them as a team, they need that X factor right now. And that's what will be the X factor for them.
It also might come down to some club requirements. I know there's been some recent drama in Europe with some of the clubs making very public statements that they're saying that they are not going to release their players early due to fear of players getting overworked, too much fatigue, and all that stress causing injuries with the recent injury crisis, for lack of a better word. The clubs are saying we do not want to release our players earlier because we don't want them to because we are paying them to play here, and we do not want them to be overexerted somewhere else when we are the ones who are paying their salaries. And I think that's fair, but it is very interesting.
But in the European system, they'll be done. So what are these clubs even talking about? I feel like NWSL is the one that needs to, and La Liga MX are the two that really need to think about that.
Yeah. So the release date for NWSL players is already very publicly out there. So there's a day where all the NWSL players will be leaving, and that's great and everything. But from the article that I was reading, the date proposed that the European clubs want to release their players, there's like a union of European clubs, is after the day that the major European squads like your Englands were planning on starting camp. So there might be some controversy coming down the pipeline where the clubs are really going to be getting into it with the national teams. So we'll see what happens.
All right, so I got to ask about Australia. Are they the biggest question mark in this tournament for you guys?
Ooh, The biggest question mark
is there's some question marks here where, teams where you're just like, they could be the best today or they could be the worst. They could beat the number 1 or they could lose to the number 44. And that's who Australia are for me right now with how they've played for the past 12 months.
I definitely see I'm picking up what you're putting down a little bit, so to say.
Appreciate
because
it.
they have such erratic results over the past year. They beat these teams that are top 5 in the world, and then they lose to someone ranked 20 to 25. And this is happening
Or worse.
consistently. This is happening. And I think that it's going to, for me, whether or not they can really be successful is if they can kind of use the environment, use the home turf advantage as a catalyst for their tournament, because we've seen a lot of teams in the past not be able to handle the pressure of winning a major tournament on home soil. For example, France in 2019, a really solid squad. Unfortunate as to where they kind of ran up against other teams, but that's a team that wanted to perform better than they did. And part of that is how well are you dealing with that pressure on home soil? You are the home team.
Mm-hmm.
This is your federation wanted to bring this tournament here to highlight you and to try to bring awareness, bring the public, try to make everyone be on your side. So how are you going to handle that? How is a player like Sam Kerr, a player like Caitlin Ford, all these stars, how are they going to handle that? And that's going to, for me, tell us how they're going to do.
I'm so excited just listening to you talk about it. I'm just like, oh my God, look, oh my God, I have so much to say. Whether you like or dislike Sam Kerr, to watch this player that we've all seen play for 12 years now, since she was 17?
I think like 15.
Yeah,
16.
I mean, 12 plus years. Yeah, you're right. I think she was, on the national stage that early, that she was like 15, 16 years old. To see her play in this World Cup, which hopefully is not her last, but her, I don't know, 4th? I should have counted, but it doesn't matter. I'm not getting to the point fast enough. To see her play as the captain of Australia in front of her home fans and with this specific team, I feel like I've said it a million times, I'm going to say it again. The crop of players all came up together. Sam Kerr, Mackenzie Arnold, Steph Catley, Alana Kennedy, Caitlin Ford, they all came up together since they were like 15 years old. And I said it about Ireland, I'm going to say it here. This is their moment. Everything has been leading to this. We've said this for the past 2 years now. Everything is leading to this moment for Australia. Everything has been building to this moment when all of these players are in their prime, when they've played together for 10 years and they can have that cohesion and you have that experience with them. And then you have the crop of young players, right? Like Ellie Carpenter, like Cooney Cross, like Mary Fowler, and you have the mix of them. And if Australia is going to do something big, it's going to be this team on their home soil. I feel like my main thing with Australia and how they're going to win, and I've said this a million times before again with them, but I'll say it again, they need somebody who's not Sam Kerr to score goals. And they've been doing that.
Haley Rosso.
Haley Rosso's been putting them away. Caitlin Ford's been putting away. They've been able to do that. Check that box. So why are they losing? Why are they so sporadic? This should be the moment.
Are you talking about their Scotland loss?
I'm talking about you name it. I mean, their horrible Asia Cup performance, they went out in the group stages. They were favorites to win that entire tournament, and they went out in the group stages. They lost to the Philippines. They tied Thailand, erratic performances.
Yeah, I mean, Australia wouldn't, based on how they finished in the Asian Cup, I don't think they would have been an automatic qualifier for this tournament had they not been a host. And they're, without a doubt, one of the best teams in that confederation.
That's true.
They would have had to go to the elimination playoffs to even secure a berth to this tournament, which is wild. And I mean, talking about a player like Sam Kerr specifically, this is a once in a lifetime kind of player. This is a Christine Sinclair, Marta, Mia Hamm kind of player. This is a player that is defining.
Stop it! I'm gonna cry.
This is a player who's defining an age of women's football.
Yeah.
And so the timing, like you're saying, Sarah, all these players for this team is perfect. And really, they can do it. They have the ability. They can win this tournament. They can, or they can.
That's big
They can
words.
do it.
Okay, so let's talk about Australia versus Canada. Last two times they've lost against them.
I don't know. Playing against Canada is always tough for any country, and
Physical.
it's
Uh-huh.
playing against Canada is unlike playing against any other team. They're so defensive, like you said, Sarah. They're so physical. They they're not really a counter-attacking team either necessarily. Yeah, they're just kind of they're a team that really kind of is gonna really try to grind you down and then capitalize on the moments, but it's not like a fast break capitalize on the moments. They're gonna grind you down until it's their time to kind of start to take over a little bit. It's a very, very unique style. And yeah, so Australia Canada is a really interesting matchup because you're alluding, Crystal, it's kind of a high octane offense versus a high octane defense. So what should we be expecting from that?
Should we give some airtime to Australia's back line? I feel like we've been talking about their offense so much, and that is what they're built around. But I also know you want to talk about their defense.
Oh my goodness, I want to talk about so much of this team. But so starting with the defense, we're going to go with the goalkeeper first, Mackenzie Arnold. This is a player who really has been riding the bench for Australia in that third keeper spot for several cycles. And she has seemingly been kind of content in that position. And they've given her some matches over the past few years, and she has never really performed as well for the national team as she has on the club scene. Currently performing very, very well for West Ham. But with the injury to Tegan Micah, who plays her club ball in Sweden, and then kind of slow aging out of Lydia Williams, and she wasn't getting very much time at PSG. Now she's at Brighton. She's getting a little bit more time. It really opened the door for Mackenzie Arnold, who, like you said, Sarah, is one of these players that grew up with these other players, came through the system together. She's now in her prime, and now she seems to be saying, I'm no longer willing to be content as the third keeper. I want that spot. And she went out there in the Cup of Nations, like you said, Crystal, and she was a huge, huge reason as to why they won that tournament. I believe she won player of the tournament, correct me if I'm wrong. But this is a player who really stepped it up in the biggest moments, and she's kind of ramping up her play to peak at the perfect time for this tournament. I know, Sarah, you also mentioned a player in Claire Hunt, who is a young center back who
The Claires. The
the
Claires and the
Claires.
center back.
Yeah, Claire Hunt is just a player who there's some other center backs who for multiple reasons haven't been able to stay on the field. Claire Polkinghorn is a veteran, a staple of this side. I believe she holds the record in number of appearances for the team, but again, I could be wrong on this. And now you have a youngster in Claire Hunt coming through who her this space was opened by players not like your Alana Kennedy's not being able to play, and it really gave them a chance to shine. And so I think this defense is really coming around and getting players like this acclimated really quickly into the side who can make a difference is going to be crucial.
I think Steph Catley is one of the players that's maybe grown the most in the past year to see what she's been able to do and how she's been able to step up for Arsenal. And I think she's going to be able to carry that into World Cup. She's going to be so key in this back line. That'll probably be a younger back line, and to have her experience there, I mean, she's going to be so key for them in this back line. Not to mention the attacking qualities that she provides, just to add the completely separate dimension to it. She's grown so much. I absolutely love her.
And aside from the offensive and defensive abilities of Catley, she's a monster on both of those sides of the ball, right? She it contributes so much. I think one of her most underrated qualities is her lack of mistakes. She
Mm.
has so few mistakes. And that's so important as a defender, right? Having those
Don't bring
errors in
us
the
there,
back.
Tim. Don't bring us there.
Oh
I
my
know what you're
goodness.
doing.
But yeah, she has so few mistakes, and I really think that that's such an unheralded quality in a player, and I think that's something that goes so far in a major tournament on home soil. The pressure is cranked to 100, and having a player that you can count on to be reliable all the time is huge.
Shall we do Nigeria?
So Nigeria plays Canada first, then Australia, and then Ireland.
This is like I know we're here to talk about Nigeria right now, but just with you outlining that, like, you guys, that last game is going to decide so much. It's going to decide so much. Australia versus Canada, Nigeria versus Ireland. Like, that could be the game where either Australia or Canada gets knocked down, and if like Ireland gets to win against Nigeria, they could advance second above anyways. Look, Nigeria is a hard one because they have fewer resources as a federation, so there are simply fewer data points to go from here. They did come to the U.S. recently in the fall of 2022 and played the USA. The scorelines were 2-1 and 4-0 U.S. And for me, there were two standout players on Nigeria that over the course of those two games. Kanu, she's a midfielder. She's 22 years old. She scored that one goal against the U.S. She previously played in La Liga MX for the Tigres, and now she's playing for Racing Louisville. She's an absolute baller. Like, she is one to watch on their squad. Obviously, we all know Anamanu, who plays for Gotham. I think the combination of those two players specifically is going to be really big for creating the offense in Nigeria, a midfielder linking up with a forward and getting that connection.
Yeah, I mean, this is a team that the offense is there. Like, and you didn't even mention a player in Oshuala, Sarah, who is incredible.
I was leaving it for you.
Oh, thank you so much. How kind of you. But yeah, this is a player who has been at the best, who is the number 9 for the best club team in the world.
Yeah.
Sorry to all you Chelsea, you Arsenal fans, Sarah, but Barcelona right now is playing like the best club team in the world. This is a player who really can do it all. She's played with so many different kinds of players. She understands the game. She times her runs so well. She links up very well. Really just a dangerous talent that you cannot counter out. And I think what's going to happen for some of these games against Nigeria is that the ball is going to be on the opposition's attacking half. And so the defense is maybe going to fall asleep a little bit. And then all of a sudden, you have players like you mentioned, Uchenna Kanu, Ife Onumonu, Oshuala. These are all players who are going to make you pay, are really going to do some damage if you're not staying on top of your game at all times. And defensively, this is a team, admittedly, I'm not as familiar with. I do know their goalkeeper is a player who plays in France, who is kind of like a young up-and-coming goalkeeper. She's been there for several seasons and is quite good. And so we might have kind of like a situation where the goalkeeper is keeping him in the game. There's going to be pressure, and then they can counter really quickly and really effectively with some of these strikers. So it's exciting. This is really a team that can beat any of these teams. Like, this is a team that can beat Australia.
Totally. I love that call out too. I want to just add one player because you're talking about the back line and the defense. Emurin, she's a left back. She's 18 years old. When she played against the U.S., she was like a lockdown defender on Sophia Smith. And that's Sophia Smith. So if that doesn't tell you something, and she carries speed. And I love your call out of Oshuala because, I mean, we're talking about underrated players. Somehow still underrated, and the number 9 for Barcelona, just an insane talent. Do you guys think that Nigeria is a team that is in this group to do some damage or to move on? Like, realistically, what are their odds at moving on?
Oh, wow.
Do you feel that this is even? Are you putting them as a tie with Ireland, where it's like, hey, if something happens, this could be ties across the board, and who knows? They could tuck one away against Canada and see what happens. They actually really could move on, or are they more of a disruptor in this group?
I think they can move on. I really do. I think this is a team. I mean, I don't think the chances are super high. You know, I'm not saying that I'm predicting a more than a 50% chance, but when you look at this team, I mean, you made some great points, Crystal, that, yeah, it's a disadvantage that they have had less time together. There's less data out there on this team. But let's try to spin that positively for a second. That means that other opponents have less film points, less ways to study this team. And that this is a team, because their player pool is less deep, they've been using similar players for a long time. They probably know each other a bit better than we might think. And this is a team that I know in the women's AFCON tournament, is used to doing really well, is used to winning the tournament. They're usually the top performer in that confederation, and they did not win this year. And this team took a lot of criticism for that. The head coach, Randy Waldrum, I think he's the ex Dash coach. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he took a lot of criticism from media about how could you let this great African powerhouse not win this tournament right before the World Cup. And I think part of that is he is trying to get the team to go to different places. They're going to the States. They're trying to get better competition. They're pushing out of their comfort zone. And that's going to go a long way when you're pushing so far out of your comfort zone that you're in Australia. So I think they can do it. Is it likely? No, but I think they can.
Yeah, and they have reached quarterfinals before.
Last but not least is Canada. Canada plays Nigeria first, followed by Ireland, and finally Australia to close it out.
Wow. Yeah, this is a
What do you
team.
think, Tim? We all just kind of made the same face at each other, like, oof, here we go.
Yeah. I mean, you already mentioned that last game is going to be absolutely dynamite.
Yeah.
But this is a team that is really hard to read.
Yeah.
This is a team that, yes, they're the reigning Olympic gold medalists,
Yeah, but that was
but
2 years ago at this point.
and to be honest, it was a really unconvincing performance. I think they
Ooh.
maybe scored like,
They're
what was
gonna
it,
come
like
for you,
six,
Tim.
like, what, I hope they do. Like, like I really hope that when I have criticism for these teams, prove me wrong. Please prove me wrong. I would love it. But
Yeah, you really would.
I think they only scored like 6 goals to win
Yeah.
an Olympic gold medal. Like that's crazy. So this is a team that really hasn't been able to put it all together on the field for several years. The goal scoring has been thin for a long time. And if they want to challenge in this group, we mentioned you have a lot of powerhouse offenses here between Nigeria and Australia. If you want to compete, you got to put the ball in the back of the net. And I'm wondering who is going to be some of those complements, those leads, who can do that because there are players here who are injured, are for sure missing. There are players who are
Hmm.
injured and probably missing, and I don't know.
I feel like a lot of their goal scoring is going to hang in the balance of Adriana Leon, and, who plays for the Thorns, and then the very, very young forward for OL Reign, Jordan Heidema. I feel like that's where their goal scoring is going to hang in the balance. But I mean, look, I wasn't going to say this about this team because it just came to my mind. So, but why not? People are calling the U.S. old. Take a look at Canada's roster, which kind of brings me on to Christine Sinclair because I've just named 2 out of 3 of what potentially could be their front three, and Christine Sinclair is the third. Christine Sinclair, what role is she going to play in this World Cup for Canada? Is she playing all 90 all the time, or is she playing, the Abby Wambach role where she comes in the last 15 or 10 and she can put a crazy goal away with her head because she's Christine Sinclair and she has a golden head and a golden forehead and a golden boot, and that's awesome, but can she do 90? I mean, we're talking about Megan Rapinoe here not being able to do 90, and Christine Sinclair's got some years on Pinot.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Christine Sinclair is kind of a hard player to figure out this way because you really want to put her in this, like the Abby Wambach super sub kind of role where they come in the last 30 minutes of these major tournaments and they're kind of your game changer. But in Clubland, she does score goals fairly
Mm-hmm.
regularly and fairly early in games too. Like it's not like, oh, we're waiting till the other team gets tired and then Sinclair is scoring goals once that happens. It's like, no, she scores goals early, and she finds the back of the net in such a calculated way. It's really a treat to watch. Like her placement on these shots is just when she scores these goals, there's no one else on that roster who's scoring that goal in that moment.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you can leave that on the bench.
There's
And
nobody else in the world who's scoring that goal.
yeah, like she gets herself in these amazing positions. Really, as she's kind of advanced to this kind of withdrawn attacker or this attacking central midfielder role, she's developed this ability to time her runs really well into the box, and they're kind of delayed. And it allows herself to create really nice open space at the top of the box. And then she just pings these shots with her laces into the corners. And I just love it so much.
Here's what I have to say about Canada, because you seem very unconvinced that they're going to do anything good here because they can't really, because where are the goals coming from? And that's a fair question. But I'm not going to be the one that underestimates this team. And
True.
Here's why. We saw what they can do scoring a few goals in the Olympics. And yeah, that was 2 years ago, but it's basically the same team. And I think maybe more importantly, it's the same head coach in Bev Priestling. And Priestman, sorry, I always say Priestling. Bev is one of the best coaches on the international stage, and she knows what to do with her roster, and she will have them playing in that lockdown defensive mindset. We're going to play hard. We're going to play physical. We're going to push you off the ball, and we're going to make it hard for you to get any type of rhythm. Like, we saw that they are able to do that. They can upset rhythm. And then they just need that goal. And kind of similar to Ireland, they have this swagger, this mentality about them that they know that if they can upset you, it's coming for them. So they can absolutely do some damage here. And I think, in my eyes, they are the favorites to go first. Do you think that the pressure of what they're dealing with their federation, I mean, we know that they played She Believes in protest so that they didn't have to pay legal fees and get sued. They obviously aren't doing that here with the World Cup, and we know that things have been sorted. But, you know, in a similar way to the U.S. kind of giving the federation a middle finger in 2019, is this going to positively or negatively affect Canada? What's going on with them and their federation?
I hope it could be a motivator.
I would love to see them win and give that middle finger to them. We can't move on from Canada without talking about Kailen Sheridan or Sophie Schmidt. We just can't.
Or I want to talk about Deanne Rose as well.
Okay, do it.
So there's one player who we have not seen a lot of recently, who I think really could be a huge difference maker for this team. We're talking about where are the goals coming from. We know they're locked down defensively, right? This team is probably the best defense internationally.
Big
one of the
statement.
hardest teams to score. But true. And you know, when you win a World Cup, or not a World Cup, sorry, when you win an Olympics solely on defensive prowess.
You mean as like a defensive 11, or are you talking about their back line?
I'm talking about their back six, your goalie,
okay,
your back four, and your like holding midi.
Got it.
So this is a team that is so hard to score on, but they need the goals. And a player in Deanne Rose, currently plays for Reading, has been out fairly long term with an injury, but is back training with her club team. This is a player who I think is fantastic. She's so dangerous. She's great with the ball at the feet. She's great in tight spaces. She's great in open spaces. She really can put the goals away. She already has tons of goals for her country at a young age. And I think that this is a player who, if Bev Priestman can get her back and healthy and incorporated into the team, you throw her out on the wing and you see what she can do. And I think that would be a really smart move for this team.
I got to throw in, well, I'm going to throw in, as the NWSL announcers call her, Vanessa Giles. Sorry, I had to do it. I mean, we're talking about defensive qualities, and while we're talking about that, a massive piece of this is Kailen Sheridan, arguably one of the best goalkeepers in the world. She's going to be one of the most fun to watch here on this international stage. I'm so excited to see her in her prime on this international stage. We haven't gotten to see that yet at this level, and I think she's just going to shine. And Sophie Schmidt, I mean, we're talking about how much age Canada has, and that's obviously part of it, but she's announced she's retiring after this. It would be really wonderful to see her go out on top, and probably knowing that Christine Sinclair, maybe even Alyssa Chapman, like that whole crop of players, this will be their last one. I would love to see them go out on top. Not top, because I'm still rooting for the U.S., but I hope they do well.
You hope they advance. Do you think that they'll be the first to advance?
Oh, are we doing predictions? Here we go. I'm going to try to take my bias, what my heart wants out of this, and just go with what my head thinks will happen. I think it'll fall Canada 1, Australia 2, Ireland 3, Nigeria 4. And that hurts my heart. It really does, because I would love to see Ireland advance. I wish 3 of them did. I would love to see Nigeria advance. I wish 4 of them did. And if we're doing this, the what if game. But I think at the end of the day, Australia's goal scoring abilities will prevail. And I think that Canada's experience and their defensive qualities will prevail.
For my predictions, I think that Australia comes out on top. I think that this is a team that really embraces the moment, is peaking at the right time, has the right leaders in the right places. I think that they can do this. I think that they are putting it all together, and I think that they will use this as a platform to really impact change in their region. And I'm so excited for this team. I think they come out on top. And I'm going to put Ireland in the number 2 spot.
I know you are.
I think this is a team that's just so scrappy, is not going to give up, is going to fight and claw and body check, if you're Katie McCabe, you into they're going to do everything they can to advance in their first World Cup appearance. And I think that would be so special and so just fantastic. And then I think that Canada's going to come in 3. It's going to be a disappointment. I think they're going to perform well, but I think that this is a team that's going to be really forced to look to the future and say, okay, this is a team, like you both mentioned, has some stars who are perhaps aging out of the player pool. This is going to be their last major tournament. Their federation has been heavily criticized by their players, by their own players, by saying that their youth pipeline is a chaotic mess. There's no stability. There's no real kind of organization here, and they're not churning out the talent that they need to be. And they're really relying on like the American collegiate system to develop their players for them. And their own players have said publicly that they have felt like they cannot retire because their country has not invested into the player pipeline. And that's such a shame to hear. But I think that this is going to be the wake-up call that the Federation needs to really invest in that pipeline, really build to the future. So I think a 3rd place finish is where I'm going to put Canada, unfortunately leaving Nigeria in 4th place. I think if this is a different group with other teams in it, I think Nigeria would finish higher. But I just think because this is such a strong group that the FIFA rankings in my mind don't necessarily match their actual current performance levels. But I think Nigeria finishes in 4th.
You guys, is this the group of death?
Oh, I'd have to review all the groups again, to be totally honest.
Okay, we'll do a roundup episode. Crystal, what are yours? What do you think?
Man, you guys both had really, really convincing predictions, and it's really not that far off. I mean, I think Australia leading the group out, now that just their momentum of being on home soil, I think I would like Ireland second.
Wow.
Tim Blake.
This
yeah. I've seen Ireland play 1 or 2 times, and they do have a lot of fight. I think they'll be the most questionable in the group.
Wow. You know what, Canada fans, I'm here for you. I'm here for you, and I will prop you up when nobody does. And we will see.
Yeah,
I mean, Canada's a great side. Like, this is nothing against Canada. It's just it's a tough group, and this is a great conversation about how the women's game is advancing overall.
Totally.
It's not like how it used to be, where each group had 2 giveaway winners and 2 giveaway losers. It really is going to be a tough battle. There's going to likely be a lot of draws. It's going to be these really physical clashes because every team is getting so good, and that's part of why this is so tough and exciting.
I'm getting so excited by this. Crystal, what's your 3-4? I think I know it, but you haven't said it.
Yeah, Canada, then Nigeria, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah, same as Tim. I mean, this group is fun. This group, I think, is going to be a lot of fun to watch.
All right, everybody, this has been Group B. Tune back in next week for Group C. For the Women's Soccer Show, Find Her Football, Crossover, Women's World Cup 2023 Group Previews. I've been Sarah.
I'm Crystal.
And I'm Tim.
Thanks, everybody. Good night.